The parts arrived on May 25, 2009, 6 days before the crash. Air France had already ordered the replacement sensors. The first plane in the fleet was upgraded 2 days before Flight 447 left Rio de Janeiro. Flight 447 was next on the list. It never made it back. The pitot tubes that Air France and Airbus both knew were failing, the exact components they had already paid to replace, were still on that aircraft when it entered the storm over the Atlantic. This is not a theory. This is what the Paris Court of Appeal called a foretold catastrophe. Here is what the records show. Between May 2008 and March 2009, a full year before the crash, Air France logged 9 separate incidents involving the same failure. 9 times. Different flights, different crews, same malfunction. Airspeed sensors freezing at cruise altitude over the tropics. 9 times the system failed. 9 times the pilots managed to recover. And 9 times nobody grounded the fleet. And here is the part that was never in the original investigation. After the crash, investigators found 6 more incidents that had never been officially reported. Crews had written them into maintenance logs, not safety reports. There is a difference. A maintenance log gets read by a mechanic. A safety report triggers an investigation. Someone knew which one to write in. But here is the detail that changes everything. Airbus knew the tubes were failing before Air France did. In 2008, Air France contacted Airbus directly. They asked, "What is causing this? Can the new model fix it?" Airbus replied that the new tube was unlikely to improve performance in an ice crystal environment. They were wrong. The new tube reduced incidents dramatically. But that reply delayed the upgrade by months, and during those months, Flight 447 kept flying the Atlantic, every week, with the original tubes. The plane that would carry 228 people to their deaths was flying routes Airbus knew were dangerous, while both companies discussed what to do about it. The Paris Court of Appeal delivered its verdict on May 21, 2026, 17 years after the crash. The court found both companies guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The ruling used 4 words that no aviation company wants to see in a criminal verdict: solely and entirely responsible. Not partially, not contributory, solely and entirely. Airbus had underestimated the risk, had failed to warn airlines with sufficient urgency, had classified the pitot tube failure as non-catastrophic because pilots were assumed to be able to handle it. The pilots of Flight 447 were never trained for it. Air France had not run a single simulation of a high-altitude stall with unreliable airspeed at cruise altitude, not once, in the entire history of the airline. The scenario that killed 228 people was not in any training program. It was, however, in the incident reports. The fine each company received was €225,000. Do the math. €225,000 divided by 228 lives. That is €986 per person, less than €1,000 for a life. Both companies announced they will appeal the verdict. The same week, the families buried their grief for the 17th time. Air France and Airbus filed paperwork to fight the conviction. The aircraft that replaced Flight 447 on the Rio-Paris route was flying again the following week, with the same model of pitot tubes. The full fleet-wide replacement was not completed until after the crash. Here is what the court did not answer. The internal communications between Airbus engineers and Air France management, the emails, the technical meetings, the memos written between 2008 and May 2009 have not been made public. The court ruled on what could be proved in a criminal proceeding. What those documents contain beyond what was presented in evidence is still not fully known. What is known is this: the problem existed, it was documented, it was discussed at the highest levels of both companies. A solution had been ordered and was being installed, plane by plane, starting with other aircraft in the fleet. Flight 447 was on the list. It just wasn't first. And nobody stopped it from flying until its turn came. 228 people were on that plane. That question, Who made that decision and why is what Part 3 covers. Part 3 drops in 2 days. Subscribe. You will be here when the file opens. If something in this story doesn't sit right with you, put it in the comments. Every question this community asks gets read. Because 228 people deserve more than a verdict. They deserve the full story.